On tonight's Wales at 6, travel chaos as widespread flooding sees roads closed and businesses damaged. Also on the programme, the plans for a residential centre for women offenders that have stalled at a cost of £2 million. Plus, Michelle is one of many unpaid carers in Wales having to cut back on the essentials. And Zamet's back as Wales get ready to kick off in the Autumn Internationals. Hello, good evening to you. Large parts of Wales have been hit by flooding after last night's heavy rain. There's been widespread disruption today, particularly in Mid and West Wales, where a major incident was declared by emergency services. It's affected homes and businesses and closed roads, railway lines and schools. Well, Carmarthenshire was one of the worst hit areas, and our reporter Lewis Fries-Jones is live there for us tonight. Good evening to you, Lewis. It's been a really difficult day for so many people there.
Good evening, Andrea. That is right. We've been speaking to people throughout the day. They went to bed last night feeling confident that the water would not reach anywhere near their properties, but they were woken up in the middle of the night by emergency services who said that they had to be evacuated as water levels continued to rise. As you can see behind me in Carmarthen tonight, the River Towy is still very much in fast flow, and businesses along the frontier are still covered and surrounded by flood water. But we've spent much of the day in other parts of the county that were badly hit. As water levels start to ease in St Clair's, locals are now left weighing up the damage caused by 24 hours of torrential rain and flooding. Michael has run the bakery in the town since the 70s and has never witnessed a flood like this. It's devastated your bakery, isn't it?
Just heartbreaking, like, to be honest, yeah. And everything we do is like try to keep everything, water out last night. And then when the wall went down and all the water came in, there was no stopping it. It was unbelievable.
During the night, residents here were rescued by the local fire service after rising water levels left many stranded in their homes.
I've got a motocross bike under the house, that's gone, like water's gone in there. We haven't been able to fully investigate what is going on because we got evacuated yesterday. The missus is pregnant, so she had to be taken out by boat.
This is the highest it's been up to there. So
it had reached the top of the steps then?
Well, but about here it was with us.
And all you could see around you was water then?
Yeah, it was literally up to here.
Mid and West Wales Fire and Rescue Service have declared this as a major incident, and despite the water levels having dropped significantly here, as you can see, it still is very high and this car park is still submerged in water. So there's little surprise why residents in St Clair's have said this is the worst they've seen it since the 80s. Elsewhere, roundabouts have turned into islands. For this car, it was too late in trying to escape the rising water around the Cwmbwrla roundabout in Swansea. And in Pontargothi, the river next to the Creseli Arms left nothing untouched. Back in Carmarthen, the council are stressing that help and support is available to those worst affected.
Well, the council has provided emergency accommodation to make sure that they have shelter, warmth and food. And then there will be money from an emergency fund to help them immediately. £500 for every home that's flooded, £1,000 for those without insurance, and £5,000 for businesses like these across the river.
Even though the water level has subsided, the aftermath of this storm is going to be felt for some time. Emotions are understandably running high among residents who have been affected by this latest flood. At the end of the day, they were struck by how quick water levels rose, saying they were completely caught off guard, and they do wish that the local authority would have stepped in sooner with sandbags. That was some of the criticisms we got speaking to people on the streets today. And there's been a demand as well on the rescue services within the past 24 hours. The Joint Fire Control Centre reported 450 calls within a 12-hour period, and that was all relating to flooding. And then at the same time, you've got a major incident that was declared over in Whitland, where 48 people had to be rescued from a retired housing complex. Then somewhere like Kidwelly, where even animals are affected at a sanctuary where dogs had to be rescued as well. The water is still high tonight, and now people are just waiting for levels to drop before they can truly review the extent of the damage. But understandably, a lot of upset here tonight, Andrea.
They'll be hoping that changes overnight. Lewis in Carmarthenshire, thank you very much indeed. The dog that killed a 9-month-old baby in Monmouthshire has been confirmed as an XL bully. Gwent police were called to a house in Roggett near Caldecott at 6 p.m. on Sunday, where the baby died at the scene. The dog was registered with DEFRA and a certificate of exemption was issued in 2024. Police say a family pet has since been put down and no arrests have been made whilst investigations continue. An ITV Wales investigation has found a controversial women's residential centre planned for Swansea has stalled at a cost of £2 million. The pilot scheme, which would have housed 50 low-level female offenders, was due to open in a former hospital building in Coquet in January. The Welsh Government say that they are concerned about the delay, adding the proposed centre is vital for a distinctly Welsh trauma-informed approach to women's justice. Our Swansea correspondent Dean Thomas Welch has the story.
Prison was once a way of life for Danielle John in Swansea. Trauma during her childhood years led to a pattern of offending and addiction.
I had a very chaotic childhood. I was groomed into criminal exploitation at a young age, and I ended up in prison by the time I was 16. After that, I fell into a cycle of addiction and I was in and out over a 20-year period.
Danielle now runs a charity working with vulnerable women who have entered the criminal justice system, although she says she received little help during her time in prison.
When you're on short sentences, you don't get that support. You're not in there long enough to build a relationship with a key worker so they can get that support in place when you come back to Wales.
At the start of the year, a new pilot scheme was due to begin in Swansea, which would have housed 50 low-level offenders in a female-only residential centre in this former hospital building in Coquet. However, ITV Wales has found that the scheme has stalled with renovation work incomplete. In 2018, the previous Conservative UK government allocated £10 million for the pilot, but reprioritised the funds in 2022. A Freedom of Information request by ITV Wales has found over £2 million has been spent on the scheme, which is yet to materialise. The Ministry of Justice have said they are still in the process of considering the next steps for the centre in Swansea, but the failure to deliver a dedicated service for Welsh female prisoners has concerned some charities.
It's really, really disappointing. Prisons aren't fit to be able to support women who offend. 70% of women who offend are experiencing domestic abuse, particularly coercive control. So we've got crimes that are linked to these instances. A rehabilitation centre would allow these women to be able to be supported closer to home, because let's not forget there's no women's prison in Wales at all.
When the women's residential scheme went before planners, local residents and councillors objected to the plans. They've told me that while they have sympathy for women who need a women's residential, they say putting it in a semi-rural location with poor transport links and on a busy road was never a good idea.
I suppose it's a worry for local people. I mean, we do understand that, you know, women need help, but there's other ways of helping them without sort of placing them in a residential area where there's a lot of families around.
A spokesperson for the Ministry of Justice said the prison system this government inherited is not working for most women. Women's centres have shown promising results in cutting crime, and we continue to pursue options for a centre in Swansea. Just like Danielle, Welsh women will continue to serve their sentences in England, away from their children and families. Meanwhile, the hopes of a dedicated service in Swansea remains in the balance. Dean Thomas Welch, ITV News in Swansea.
The fallout has continued today after a damning report found there were more than 50 missed opportunities to stop a school head teacher from sexually abusing girls in North Wales. The Child Practice Review into Neil Foden said he was a prolific sex offender who harmed many children. It was led by prominent expert Jan Pickles, who looked into the crimes of the 68-year-old who was jailed for 17 years. She's been speaking to our reporter, Joanne Gallagher.
This paedophile was hiding in plain sight. How does that happen? How it happens is, so if you look at the modus operandi of a sex offender, they don't start by touching children. They start by grooming the environment they're in, removing all of the obstacles. So for him, becoming a big noise, being an important person, being an important leader within unions, speaking to Welsh Government, that all provided him with the cover. So everyone felt reassured, and it made him harder to challenge. He was able to control the governors, the staff, and the local authority.
He thought he was above the rules.
Well, he created his own rules, and he placed himself above the rules. He also thought he was cleverer and more able than other people.
When you've carried out reviews like this in the past, have you seen anyone held to account in similar situations? Have there been resignations?
Yes, yeah. We're employed. We're employed to do a job, and that job is keeping children safe. And in this case, Ysgol Friars failed, the Education Department failed, the Children's Services failed, the local authority failed.
And if there are no changes in personnel going forward, would you feel as though the review had failed?
No. As I say, those HR processes over them, we are aware that there are processes ongoing.
I can tell by the way that you speak it's been quite emotional for you.
Yes, it's gruelling to see that level of detail, to see that level of failure. It's appalling.
Well, Joanne is live outside Gwynedd at Council's headquarters in Carnarvon, where yesterday senior leaders said the authority took responsibility for the missed opportunities to stop Foden and apologised to all those who suffered. Hello to you, Joanne. What's been the reaction to what they said late yesterday?
I think disbelief and I think anger. People are still trying to get their heads around what happened. Neil Foden was very well known within this community. He was known to be an arrogant man who ran his schools with an iron fist. He was known to be a bully. He was known to run his schools with high levels of expulsions. There'd been numerous complaints about him and his behaviour, and yet he wasn't stopped. We know that there were 50 opportunities to stop this paedophile, and yet nothing happened. It took the bravery of one youngster to speak out to someone in authority to finally get him arrested and ultimately charged. Now, there are 27 recommendations in this report. It's highly critical of Cyngor Gwynedd Council. We know that they have accepted the recommendations, they have apologised. We spoke to Jenny Williams today, who is the co-chair of the North Wales Safeguarding Board, and she says ultimately she will be holding people to account. We tried to push her, will there be resignations? Ultimately, that's not for her to decide, but she promised that she will be looking for change.
There are individuals that are around and have been making decisions, have been part of that school environment that I'm sure will be thinking about their roles and in terms of their future. I can't say we won't see this again, but we have enough now to make sure that we have the tools around us as professionals to really stamp this out in terms of those settings and make this as difficult as possible. Foden had too many opportunities.
Now, there is certainly a long road ahead. Never again should youngsters be put in this position. Never again should a paedophile head teacher be allowed to behave in this manner. Those recommendations will be looked at to see if there can be change.
Joanne in Carnarvon, thank you. Thanks very much for being with us. Still to come on tonight's programme, it is Sparklers at the Ready with Megan this evening.
And these are the players' steps. Used to spin, but it's a more conversation about sparkle tonight. Yeah, rain might be in the forecast, but that's not going to dampen spirits here.
And we've still got a couple of showers to work through for the next couple of days, but compared to how it has been recently, the rainfall shouldn't mount up as much. All that coming up in a few minutes' time.
First, though, tens of thousands of Wales's unpaid carers are on the brink of financial collapse, a major new report has revealed. More than half reported having to cut back on essentials like food and heating. The Welsh Government says it's provided an extra £13 million this year to services which support them. Our health reporter Katie Fenton has more.
Every day, Michelle gets up at 5 a.m. to care. She usually hasn't slept, keeping watch over her epileptic daughter. The mum of two from the Dillais Valley also cares for 4 other family members, making her days an endless cycle of cooking, cleaning, nursing, driving, paperwork and more.
People say, like, well, how do you do it? I don't know, you just do. You just get on with it.
Caring for 5 people leaves no time for paid work. So Michelle receives a carer's allowance from the government, but says it works out at just £2.38 an hour.
You go without things. So, like, if I'm in the house on my own and it's cold, I don't put the heating on. You know, you just, you know, you go without food, you go without meals. You look at your life and you see what you can go without. It's absolutely miserable. It's, you know, you just... And it scares me for the future, because if I'm struggling now, where am I going to be this time next year? You know, because everything is going up and we're on the lowest benefit.
Now, a major report has revealed tens of thousands of carers in Wales are facing the same reality. More than half say they're cutting back on essentials like food and heating, a staggering 53% increase from around a third last year. More than a third are relying on loans, credit cards or overdrafts to get by. And almost 4 in 10 say their mental health is suffering because of caring.
Councils, health boards and the government across Wales expects unpaid carers to just deal with it, and from our perspective, you know, that's not acceptable, and it's not sustainable. You know, if unpaid carers aren't able to care, that will mean greater pressure on our health and social care service, which is already beyond breaking point.
The Welsh Government says it's provided an extra £13 million this year to help deliver support services. But Michelle says it's not enough.
I'd like to ask them, would they do their job for £2.38 an hour? I work really hard, and you know, none of the people that I care for are unloved, and my love is abused by not being appreciated.
For Michelle and thousands like her, caring isn't a choice. It's a lifeline for those they love. But it's coming at a cost they can no longer afford. Katie Fenton, ITV News.
Elsewhere, Cardiff Castle has hosted this year's Welsh National Field of Remembrance today. There was a 2-minute silence and crosses were planted in honour of those who served and lost their lives in conflict. More than 3,000 crosses and markers will be displayed within the castle, continuing a tradition that began almost 100 years ago.
I served 3 years in the British Army, and my husband served for 37 years in the Royal Air Force Regiment. So I've been around military people all my life, and it's just a fact of life that you're going to lose friends. So this is my way of raising funds for veterans and serving military people and giving a little bit back.
And here is what's ahead at 6:30.
Coming up on the programme, more embarrassments for the government as another prisoner is mistakenly released. The 24-year-old Algerian was set free from HMP Wandsworth and comes days after Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy said prison services would introduce enhanced checks on prisoner releases. We'll have all the latest. Also tonight, fewer exams, lessons on AI and mortgages, why England's school curriculum is getting a shake-up. And the oldest claimant in the post office scandal finally receives compensation from the government. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Here, though, time for the day's sports news. Matt's here. What have you got for us?
Well, Andrea, the Welsh rugby team are back in action this weekend as they take on Argentina at the Principality Stadium. News from the camp today is that Lewis Rees-Zammit, fresh from his stint in the NFL, is fit and available for selection. After months of turmoil, it gives new head coach Steve Tandy something to smile about. A timely boost for Welsh rugby. After training on his own last week, Lewis Rees-Zammit is back fit and in contention to face Argentina on Sunday. His transition back to rugby from the NFL is almost complete.
He's kind of in the middle of that progression back now. I mean, progressed back last week and full training week this week, so there's a few boxes to tick, but he's moving in the right direction.
The returning Rees-Zammit adds to the fresh feel around this Wales camp. There are new players. There are new coaches. And there are more changes behind the scenes as new boss Steve Tandy looks to reverse the fortunes of our national side.
He's put his own stamp on things around the scheduling, adjustments to how we our working day, how and when we train. The facilities, there's been some adjustments and changes to the facilities. Obviously, there's the technical rugby elements that have changed. I think there's more connection time from the feedback we're getting from this group of players to bring this group together quickly.
Throughout this campaign, coaches will remain mindful of the bigger picture. They want to see this group of players develop some sort of identity as a team. But the players themselves have a far more short-term focus. Argentina on Sunday.
I think they're an impressive side, aren't they? Obviously just watching all their clips and in all aspects of the game, they're very impressive, and a team that I think have grown over the past couple of years. They're really enjoyable to watch, and really excited to go up against them and test ourselves.
As has become more common in recent years, Wales head into this weekend as underdogs. At this level, the result is all that really matters, but it's the performance that will set the tone as the Steve Tandy era begins. And switching to football now, and Craig Bellamy has named his Wales squad for the final two World Cup qualifiers against Liechtenstein and North Macedonia. But today he was the centre of attention after being linked with a vacant managerial role at Scottish champions Celtic. Bellamy is contracted to the FAW until 2028, but when asked if Celtic had contacted him, this was his response.
I would never talk about that. It's not right for me to talk about that. So, yeah, my only conversations are with Noel and Dave.
Okay.
Right. And I think they're okay with me. They like me here at the moment. So, and I like being with them, to be fair. So that's it. That's our conversation.
So there we have it, Andrea. That's your sport news.
Speculation will continue. Matt, thank you very much indeed. Now, we always like to go out with a bang at the end of every Wales at 6, and tonight that's more important than ever. It's bonfire night, of course, with thousands of people across the country attending firework displays this November the 5th. Megan Boot is at one of the big events in Cardiff. They're getting ready there. Megan, not long to go.
Not long at all, Andrea. The gates opened about an hour ago and the fireworks are going to be kicking off in about half an hour's time, so excitement is building, and I'm delighted to say that Dan joins us now. Dan, we're used to seeing cricket on this pitch. Very different tonight.
Yeah, very different, but it's great for us to be able to open the gates of the stadium and do a diverse event that's something different and welcome the community to Safari Gardens.
And it is sort of a more broader community than perhaps normally would come to matches here.
Yeah, different demographic of people come here, but it's great to see lots of kids and families coming here to enjoy things, and hopefully we can tempt them back to watch some cricket in the future.
And you've been tempting them with food as well, and some sort of fairground rides outside as well?
Yeah, some fantastic local traders supporting us tonight with some entertainment out in our lawn. So great to see everyone enjoying themselves and getting ready for the big bang at 7 o'clock.
And briefly, Dan, there's some fundraising happening tonight that's very important.
Yeah, we work with a lot of local charities, and in particular this year working with Prostate Cymru. We've raised a few £1,000 for them this year, and we'll continue to support them for the rest of 2025.
And this isn't the first time you've done it. What are you expecting to see tonight? Any surprises in store, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this now, I think, for 8 years, and we've had 6 years in a row we've been sold out, which has been fantastic. And they always spring a surprise for us with something big and different. We work with a specialist company who are used to doing this, so looking forward to see what they've got in store for us tonight.
Dan, thank you very much. Well, look, fire services say you should go to organise events at bonfire night. If you are doing fireworks yourself, make sure that they meet standards, they meet regulations, and if you have pets, the advice is to keep them inside until fireworks night is over.
Megan, thank you, and good to see that no brollies required at the moment. Luckily, after all that rain, things are a bit better for bonfires tonight. So with that forecast, here is Charlie Powell.
A clear start makes way for a day of ancient discoveries. TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
So as we head through the next few days, we're looking at something just as a little bit drier than it has been so far this week. Still really quite mild, nearly 18 degrees today at Aberystwyth, for example, and lighter winds. The winds are still coming in from a southerly direction, which is why it is so mild. It's also why we're seeing these outbreaks of rain being fed towards us, though a little bit of a gap opens up before this next sort of more wider area of rain on Friday works its way through, but as it does so, it does fragment as well. So again, not huge quantities of rainfall on that, thankfully. Just a couple of showers as we head through the rest of this bonfire night, but for the most part, tonight looks pretty dry. There'll be a few cloud breaks around. The best of those probably across parts of East Wales, where we could see a few mist and fog patches, but temperatures will be on the high side again tonight, largely around sort of 11 to 13 or 14 degrees, so it will be really quite mild. Tomorrow, some dry weather around. Any of that low cloud will take a bit of time to clear. We are, though, looking at a little area of showery rain working its way slowly in across the western half of the country. Now, that's likely to develop some fair rainfall totals, partly because it's slow moving, but you can see some fine skies elsewhere and perhaps something a little drier following as we head through the latter stages of the day. Still quite mild, not as mild as today, but 15 or 16 Celsius. And then going back to the Atlantic, well, low pressure stays close by, although so does high pressure. A little ridge of the stuff just starts to nudge in as we head through the weekend. It's not to say it'll be bone dry. There'll be a few showers on Saturday and maybe a bit of rain coming in later on Sunday, but it's as close as we've been for a long time to high pressure. So hopefully something a little bit calmer. What's left of that front on Friday? The odd shower on Saturday, some rain coming through later on Sunday, but on the whole, a little calmer.
TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Thanks very much to Charlie. Thanks very much for being with us. That is Wales at 6. Megan is back here with your late headlines. Hopefully she'll get to see some fireworks just after the news at 10. But from all of us here on the programme, have a good night. Bye-bye.